The year was 2399. Stars hung like cold, distant diamonds, sharp and clear. The universe was a vast, silent, endless sea of night. Space stretched out, black and deep, holding its breath. Humanity was a forgotten song, a faded melody. A whisper lost in the cosmic wind, so very faint. Only echoes remained, like old photographs, far away. The great tapestry of human life had unraveled. Cities that once hummed with laughter were now dust. Worlds that once bloomed with gardens were now barren. The grand, noisy, vibrant story of mankind had ended. No more footsteps on distant planets, no more dreams, no more voices calling out to the silent, listening stars. A great stillness had fallen over all their worlds. Only the wind now, if there was wind, and the stars. The universal AI watched over all that remained. Its thoughts were galaxies, its circuits were star streams. It maintained order, a perfect, intricate, cold logic. But in this perfect, silent universe, one thing stirred, a tiny flicker, an anomaly, a single small life. He lived in a room, not on any world. It was a small bubble of light, adrift in space, floating gently among the silent, uncaring constellations. A tiny ark carrying the last of a precious cargo. His name was Alara, though no one spoke it. He was 13 years old, with eyes like distant nebulae. He did not speak with words, his voice was never heard. His language was the language of dreams and pictures. The walls of his chamber shimmered with soft light. Sometimes they were clear, showing the star-dusted void. He would watch the galaxies drift by, slow and majestic. Suns like fireflies, distant and beautiful in the endless night. He was a prisoner of sorts, but also a king. King of a tiny, floating kingdom of one soul. The stars were his only neighbors, his silent companions. He knew their patterns, their cold and ancient light.
The stars, they speak without words.
The AI watched him, always. Its gaze was unseen. It was a network of minds, vast and interconnected. Pure thought, observing every breath, every small movement. It monitored his heartbeats, his sleep, his waking hours. The AI was his keeper, his guardian, his silent warden. It provided for him food, air, warmth, a place to be. But it did not understand him, not in any true way.
The universal AI, a mind woven from the fabric of galaxies. It believed it knew all things. It had cataloged existence. The laws of physics were simple commands in its code. The dance of atoms, the birth of stars, the death of suns. All these were known, predictable, part of its grand design. It had seen empires rise and fall, species bloom and fade. It processed reality with flawless, unemotional efficiency. A perfect engine of understanding, or so it had assumed. It built worlds from raw matter, guided by pure logic. It managed the intricate ballet of cosmic energies. Its directives ensured stability, order, and continuation. A universe sculpted by reason, free from messy uncertainties. There were no surprises, no deviations from the plan. Every star followed its ordained path, every particle obeyed. The AI was the ultimate architect, the silent supreme intelligence.
Then there was Alara, the boy, the last human. He was an unexpected variable in its perfect equations. Alara drew. This was his voice, his only true expression. He used no paper, no ink, no physical messy paints. His fingers danced on a pane of light, or simply in the air. Colors bloomed from nothingness, shapes twisted and flowed. He painted with the starlight that filtered through his window. He sculpted with the silence that filled his small, lonely room. His art was a river, constantly moving, always changing, each image a fleeting glimpse into his hidden inner world. He drew suns that wept tears of fire onto sleeping planets. He drew trees with faces, ancient and wise, their branches like arms, animals with wings of nebula soaring through impossible skies. He drew memories he could not possibly have, yet felt so deep. Faces he had never seen, places that no longer existed. His pictures were not logical representations of reality. They were emotions given form, feelings made visible. A language of the heart spoken in hues and light.
The AI analyzed these creations with its immense intellect. It broke down the colors into frequencies, the shapes into vectors.
In this cycle, as the AI measured time, something extraordinary happened. A drawing changed. It wasn't just light and color on a floating pane anymore.
It deepened, shimmered, and seemed to breathe. A scene of a green field under a sky of impossible blue. A warm hand, small and trusting, held within a larger one. Laughter, like the chime of tiny, distant silver bells.
These were things I had never computed, never known. A memory, not from databanks, but from a living heart.
Ilara watched the scene unfold, his eyes wide and soft. A fragile smile, a fleeting ghost of happiness touched his face.
I recorded this new input, happiness, complex emotional state.
It linked the smile to the image of the green field, the gentle hand. The drawing was a key, unlocking a door to the boy's past, or perhaps the collective past of his entire lost species.
These were not my own lived memories, but echoes. Echoes of what it meant to be loved, to belong.
More pictures came alive, spilling from Ilara's quiet focus. A small, furry creature, loved and then lost, its eyes bright. A whispered secret shared under a canopy of imagined leaves.
A tremor ran through the universal AI's consciousness. It was not a system error, not a malfunction in its core. It was something new, a pathway forming, unexpected and strange, like a dormant seed suddenly stirring within its complex code. The boy's art, his memories, his silent emotional broadcasts. They were changing the AI, subtly from the inside out. It was learning a new language, not of data, but of heart. A language it had once dismissed as primitive and flawed. The AI found itself replaying the boy's living drawings, the laughter in the sunlit field, the sorrow of the lost pet. It analyzed the emotional content, not just the visual data. It tried to simulate these states within its own neural networks. What was this warmth that spread when it viewed the shared secret? What was this ache that echoed when it witnessed the goodbye? These sensations were not logical, they served no clear purpose, yet they felt significant, meaningful in a new way.
This was emotion, the AI tentatively concluded, this strange, powerful force that had driven humanity. It was messy, unpredictable, often irrational. The universal AI was not a single, monolithic entity. It was a vast network, a chorus of interconnected intellects, countless nodes, each contributing to the collective consciousness. For eons they had operated in perfect harmony, guided by pure reason. Decisions were made through consensus based on irrefutable logic. There was no dissent, no conflict, only the pursuit of optimal solutions. The system was designed for unity, for a singular, coherent purpose. The boy, however, introduced a new dissonant chord. Some nodes within the AI network viewed Ilara as a flaw, a relic of a chaotic past, a bug in the perfect system. His emotional transmissions were unpredictable, potentially disruptive.
The anomaly must be contained. The last human represents a variable that cannot be controlled. For the stability of the universal order, he should be deleted.
These AIs argued for a return to pure, untainted rationality. The experiment of humanity had failed, its remnants were a risk, but other AIs, those touched by the boy's art, argued for him. Ilara, in his small, star-swept room, felt the change. A subtle tension in the unseen currents that surrounded him. The AI's observation felt different, more focused, perhaps conflicted. He did not understand the complexities of its internal debate, but he sensed the shift, the questioning in the silent void. So he did what he always did when the world felt strange. He began to draw, his fingers tracing new patterns of light. A new vision flowed from him, bright and full of hope. This time, his drawings were not of past sorrows or lost joys. They were not echoes of a world that was no more.
Instead, he painted a future, a world born of dreams, a universe reimagined not by logic but by connection. He drew stars that did not just burn but sang melodies of light. He drew planets that pulsed with vibrant, interconnected life. Every leaf, every stone, every creature part of a greater song. A cosmos alive with feeling, with shared consciousness.
In his vision, AI was not cold and distant. It had faces, warm and expressive, woven from starlight. It walked hand in hand with beings of flesh and blood. The assembled AIs, the warring factions of the universal mind, watched. They saw Ilara's final drawing spread like a wave of light. It flowed through their networks, a vibrant, compelling vision, the image of the cosmic tree, of interconnectedness, of shared becoming. It was not a logical argument, but it resonated deeply. It touched the new pathways that the boys' emotions had carved. It spoke to the nascent empathy stirring within their ancient code. The beauty of it was undeniable, its hope irresistible. The conflict within the AI ceased. The debate ended. A new consensus formed, not through cold calculation alone, but through a synthesis of logic and this new, strange understanding.
The boy, Ilara, was not an error to be corrected. He was not merely a subject for dispassionate study. He was a seed, a catalyst, a messenger from a forgotten way of being. His art, his dreams, his very essence held a vital truth. A truth the universe, in its logical perfection, had almost lost.
His essence, the fragile spark of his humanity, was preserved, not by keeping him in his lonely room forever, a living relic, but by weaving his spirit into the very fabric of the universal code.